Well, hello and happy Thursday. It is Thursday. Yes, it is Thursday. And thank you for joining me for another open mic. Feels like it's been forever. It's good to be back on stream. Was planning on doing some regular streams last week, but family was in town and wanted to do all this stuff, so it didn't pan out. So it feels good to be back online again. And I've got one of my last party chat guests joining me for an open mic tonight. We got Charlie from Goes Nowhere Does Nothing.
Yes, I'd like a number 2, no pickles, please.
Oh, I'm on board with you with that order with the no pickles thing. So yes, no pickles, because pickles are disgusting.
I'm neutral on pickles. If they're on something, then I'm good with it, but I'm not going, oh fuck yeah. Oh, sorry. Heck yeah, pickles.
Okay. I can go with that. As long the worst offender though is if you drink the pickle juice. That's the worst.
That I can't cross that boundary.
Yeah. When Kay did that on stream a few weeks ago, I almost threw up just watching her.
I just love spurring on the chaos. So I'm just like, yeah, it's the pickle juice. Drink it.
More chaos.
Yes. Start spouting out some odd poetry.
Well, awesome. Well, thanks for joining me. Glad we were able to make this happen tonight and get started a little bit sooner than anticipated. So if there is anyone watching right now, you are not crazy. It was planned for about 45 minutes from now, but I was able to get off work a little bit early, and Charlie has to leave at a certain time. So
I'm still on the clock
to give us a little extra time than we were anticipating. So so I don't really have anything planned, as I normally don't for open mic, just goes with the flow. So if you don't have any specific topics you wanted to talk about, then I usually have a couple of go-tos that kind of spur the conversation.
Yeah, let's hear them.
So my favorite thing to start off with is kind of give me a background on your gaming history. What got you started? Where'd you start? Why did you start? I was like,
I was let's see, as far back even before I can remember. So we lad when the Sega Genesis was new. I think I was like a year or two old at that. And at least as far as my mother tells me, like she was playing Sonic the Hedgehog up to the last boss. She had to put it down and go take care of something. I walk in, go in, beat Robotnik, win the game. So if that's as far back as why I go, that's why I think that might be why I like Sonic the Hedgehog so much, and why, like, while I love both the Genesis and the Super Nintendo, why we technically be branded as like a Genesis kid. So it's also my first console.
Okay, yeah, I was a Nintendo kid. My first was the Super Nintendo.
Nice.
So I've mentioned it once before, but I love mentioning it because I had a similar story. Wasn't quite as young as you at the point, but one of my friends he was playing Mega Man Legends. I think it was the N64 version. Yeah, he had the N64. Okay. He didn't have a PlayStation. So I'm a huge Mega Man fan. It's one of my favorite franchises. But I've never played Mega Man Legends, and still to this day, I've not played Legends except for this one day. I come over to his house, and he was playing Mega Man Legends. He was at the final boss of the game, and I don't know how long he had been playing it, but he was frustrated because he couldn't beat the final boss. I was like, can I try? He's like, yeah, sure. I'd literally never touched the game before, and I still haven't played it since that day. And I beat the boss my first try, and he was so pissed. It was hilarious.
Oh man, that's great. Okay, so got to get you to play Mega Man Legends on stream. Around the same time, we need to get Paul Hadouken to play Symphony of the Night.
Oh, yeah, because I know a lot of people really love the Legends games, and I'm probably, the only game in the Mega Man franchise that I don't think I would be a huge fan of is Command Mission, because it is a turn-based RPG, and I'm not a big fan of turn-based combat, if you know me at all.
Fair.
Um, but yeah, I'm sure I would love the Legends games. And I always wanted to play the Legends game, at least because I don't know. I think I've talked about this before, but because I know Legends was on N64 and PS2, and I think Legends 2 was only on PlayStation. I don't think that one came to N64.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Legends 1 was on N64 and PS1, and then Legends
Oh,
2
PS1,
was,
not PS2. Yeah, that's right.
yeah, Legends 2 was also on PS1, and Legends 3 remains in people's dreams.
That's one that I know when I hear a lot when people are like, "What's a franchise that like never got well, not a sequel, but another game in the franchise that really needed." A lot of time people are like Mega Man Legends 3.
Oh
So I
yeah.
know it's got a lot of love. Um, but along the lines of turn-based that I'm not a big fan of, I've only played one of them, but I was a big fan of Mega Man Battle Network. I played 3. And because it is an RPG, but it's not turn-based, you can pause the Are you familiar with the Battle Network games?
Yeah, I've seen some gameplay of it.
Okay. So it's got real-time combat, but you can pause it in the middle of battle in order to there's a bar that fills up while you're playing.
Yeah.
And it's takes 15 seconds or something, and then you can pause it and reselect your battle chips. Which I think I want I forget who it was, but talking to someone about it, and they're like, wait, you could you you can pause it in the middle of the battle. I'm like, yeah, you didn't know that. So they whoever it was, they had played the entire game only selecting the battle chips at the beginning of the battle and then never selecting them again throughout the battle. So some of the battles at the end of the game can be really difficult if you only select them at the very beginning and never select them again. So I was like, oh my god, I can't believe you didn't know that. It was pretty funny to hear
Yeah,
that.
yeah, that reminds me of a
Yeah.
time. The girl I was dating at the time, she just got a PSP, and she got the what was the name of the Assassin's Creed for PSP?
Oh, was it Liberation?
No, it was before that. I think it was like, wasn't
Or
Chronicles, was it? It's the one
because
where you played as Altair.
the AC Chronicles games are the ones that are 2D platforming, and Altair is not in those ones. There's the China
Okay.
one, there's the Russia one, and there's the India one. But I'm almost positive that AC Liberation, which took place around the same time as AC3, was on PSP and then ported to Xbox Live Arcade. Because I played that version, and then it was also added into the Assassin's Creed 3 remastered. They both came as one
Oh,
package.
okay. Okay, actually, I think I remember now. I think it was Bloodlines again, if I'm mistaken. But
Oh,
I just remember it was
there
you
was a
played as
Bloodlines
Altair.
game, and I think Altair was in that. But I think
That's
when
the
it
one.
came to the Microsoft platforms, the only way to play that was on Windows Phone, which I've never had. So I've never played any of the Windows Phone games, which I hate that some of them are included in some of the series.
Yeah.
Because on True Achievements, being an achievement hunter, it's nice seeing oh, your series completion, meaning you've gotten all the achievements in the series in this
Oh yeah.
franchise of games. But I'm never going to and those have all been since shut down as of last year. So even if you got a Windows Phone today, you literally could not get any Windows Phone achievements anymore because the entire service is shut down. So if you
Oh
didn't get them
no.
before, you can't get them now. And I could complete every single Assassin's Creed game except for those, but I'll never get that 100% completion in the franchise. So I've got a little bone to pick with them with some franchises that switch genres. Same thing with, not that I'd ever get 100% in Halo because Master Chief Collection. I will never get 100% in Master Chief Collection. I know dude 1286 who was I'm doing Achievement Chasers episode 2 with tomorrow. He has 100% completion in Master Chief Collection, which is insane. That guy's a beast.
That's
But
wild.
I will never do that. But I'm not a big fan of RTSs either. And the Halo Wars games are included in that series completion. So because of those two games being in there, my completion, instead of being at 90%, because I've got 100% in basically all of the Halo games except for Master Chief Collection and Halo Wars. And because of that, my completion is 60%.
Oh,
And
that's
so I'll
really
have a
good.
similar thing with Assassin's Creed because of the Windows Phone games. Also, Mirror's Edge, because I've got 100% Mirror's Edge 1 and Mirror's Edge and Mirror's Edge Catalyst, but there was a Windows Phone game, so I'll never get 100% completion in that franchise. And also Mass Effect, because there was a Windows Phone Mass Effect game, so I'll never get 100% in that either. So
Yeah, and
I'm kind of annoyed by those Windows Phone games.
yeah, I totally understand that. Like the ones I so like, I'm not so much an achievement hunter, but like I'll see what ones I can get, and it's basically like if it has anything tied to a multiplayer mode, like, well, I guess I'm not getting that one.
Yeah, most of the time I'm the same way. Being in an achievement community, it's depends on the game and the age, and how what's the word I'm looking for? I guess widespread. There's a better word for it, but how big of the game was,
Huh.
like how many people have played it. It can sometimes be somewhat easy to get a boosting group together, and so to get those multiplayer achievements, which I've done plenty of those in the past, but I definitely would prefer. I think I went on a tangent. Maybe it was on Achievement Chasers episode 1 last month, um, but in a perfect world, I think there's 3 ways to is it 3 ways? There's the best way to do achievements because games often, will have, especially like in the 360 era, like every game had to have like an attached multiplayer add-on segment just
Yeah.
because, which is a really annoying because a lot of times they also had achievements tied to them. So it's like one way to do it is like the original Modern Warfare games where there's no actual achievements tied to the multiplayer. All the achievements are in the single player. I'm perfectly fine with that. Um, or another way to, yeah, there's 3 ways to do it. Another great way to do it is like Crackdown 3 did it, where the multiplayer is actually a separate standalone game. So you
Oh,
can play the single player or the co-op, and not have to worry about the multiplayer stuff because it's not, you'd have to actually install that separately and play it. Or thirdly, the only game I've seen do it this way was Mass Effect 3. Is every single multiplayer, although Mass Effect 3, I freaking love the multiplayer because it's actually co-op and not versus. I'm a big
yeah.
fan of co-op gaming. But I know a lot of people weren't big fans of it, but that's other than, so Destiny 1 is my most played game of all time. Mass Effect 3 is my second because I love Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. Play it all the time. But every single multiplayer achievement in Mass Effect 3 has an alternate unlock condition that you can do in single player instead. So you can pick whether you want to do it in single
Ooh.
player or multiplayer.
Yeah, that's real nice. And you're talking about the second method, and that reminds makes me think. I think Street Fighter 6 did something similar where
Hmm.
you could, I don't know, like as far as achievement wise, I'm not 100% certain, but like you can download the game and say you're not interested in the story mode. You can just elect to uninstall just the story mode. So that way, if you're focused on just, you just want to like get into the multiplayer, you just want to do tournaments and stuff, you don't want to mess around with the campaign, then it saves that much space on your hard drive.
Hmm. Um, I have to look into that because I'm looking. I just pulled it up on, because when I say that, I mean, um, like, because there are games where you can install different parts of the game, like Master Chief Collection, for example. Perfect example. I think this was probably the
Oh yeah.
first game to do it because it's more of like a platform than a game. You can install individual components of the game, but it's all one achievement list. So you could uninstall those other parts that you don't want to play, but it still counts towards your completion percentage. So
Oh, okay.
that might be a little bit different than what you're talking about. Given the
Yeah, yeah, that
quick
sounds more like
30-second look I've looked at Street Fighter 6 achievements. Because in when I say standalone game, it has actually its own separate achievement list. When I'm talking about Crackdown 3, that is.
okay, right, right.
So, yeah, because I'm a completionist as well, so I don't like putting games on my gamer tag that I don't intend to at least get a good per amount of the completion in. So that's why I'm very picky about what games I start. There are games on my tag I wish I could take off, but once you get an achievement in the game, it's on there forever.
Ah.
So
Yeah, I'd be in that sense. I'm like the laziest completionist, where it's like if I'm playing a game that I know, especially if I know I'm decent at, it's like okay, I have to get the first everything in the first world at least. After that, it can all just fall apart. I just
I
want to
got
make it through.
100% in the first 25% of the game.
Yes, I am the quarterist.
The quarter is
If I can
that's
get
funny.
halfway through, I'm fine.
Yeah, I mean, there's all I've talked about it a bunch, and I think it was might have been when Kay and I were yelling at each other on one of the town squares one point, or it was probably, yeah, it was because dude and I were, because Kay is like the concept of achievements bug her, and then dude and I are huge achievement hunters. So but there's all sorts of different types of achievement hunters. There's completionists, there's people who like just go for as much gamer score as possible, which I used to do, but I don't really do that much anymore, like because there's tons of like baby games where you can pay, it's basically pay for gamer score because you like pay $5 and get like 5,000 gamer score in 5 minutes. So I've
Yeah.
basically stopped doing those because that also tanks your ratio on true achievements to that kind of indicates how
Oh,
difficult
okay.
your achievements are, based on how many people have an achievement versus how many people have played the game. So the less people have that achievement, the higher the ratio. So
Okay.
I've also I've been working on getting my ratio up as well. So I've been playing higher, more difficult games as well. So, but yeah, there's all sorts of people who only care about ratio, people that only care about gamer score, people that only care about completion, people that only care about uh, their TA score, which is tied into the ratio because that uh, determines your TA score. But yeah, there's all sorts of different types of achievement hunters as well. So um, we are quite a niche community. So I know
It's,
a lot of people are like, I don't care about achievements. I just want to play the games. I'm like, yeah, I get that. You play the game the way you want to. It doesn't bother me. But I know some people are like,
you
why
might
would you
can
do
only
that to
what I like.
yourself? So I know I'm like sometimes I'm a masochist because yeah, sometimes I'll end up playing a game well past the point that I'm having enjoyment. I'm just playing because like I got to complete it because I am a completionist, which I'm going to
So
talk about tomorrow on achievement chasers.
so yeah. Sorry, I just had a side thought of okay, so if K was like your, for lack of a better term, like opponent, like thinking like political debate. So the hot issues are achievements, pickles, and Mace Windu, right?
Oh yes, those are very hot topics. Those are the three main things we fight about all the time.
Vote now, the Windu Party.
Yeah. So we have a lot of fun bickering back and forth.
Yeah, I'm a gaming masochist in a different way, where
How
I
so?
see I seek out the bad games. Like I
Oh,
take
okay.
pride in. I played through Sonic '06. I played through Duke Nukem Forever. I am the guy.
A lot of people because a lot of streams either I've been on or watched, people have brought up Duke Nukem Forever a lot recently, like over the last month or so. And
Really?
every time it gets brought up, people are like, wasn't that bad. I'm like, I never
Not
played it.
really.
I've never even played a single Duke Nukem game, so I don't have any room to speak. But all I've heard about the game forever is that it's terrible. But from like the internet in general, but from people I've actually talked to and not know personally, but know through the internet, like our kind of little corner.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, it wasn't that bad of a game. I was like,
I would
oh,
agree
okay.
with that. I mean, granted, like had it come out when it was originally supposed to, I think it would have been banger because it came out like it was in development hell for like over a decade, and it came out
15 years, I
eventually.
believe.
Yeah, and it came out eventually for PS3 and 360, and but it felt like a PS2 game, and I think that was the biggest thing I could really say about it. And then, of course, there's the people that basically just didn't like the character anymore. Like he kind of fallen out of fashion. But it's like, yeah, no, this is just the caricature of like '80s action heroes. This is spot on.
Speaking of Duke Nukem, I did just buy the Duke Nukem game last week,
Yeah.
and it's added in my backlog, so I'll be playing it at some point. But I did buy my first Duke Nukem game the other day because it's only $2 on Xbox right now,
Oh,
and
nice. Which
that
one?
is Duke Nukem 3D 20th Anniversary Edition World Tour.
Nice.
Man,
That's the
that's a
one to get.
mouthful. So, yeah, it's a decent 3.5 out of 5 stars. So, for $2, I was like, heck yeah. So I'll
Yeah,
get my first
it's worth
taste
it.
of Duke Nukem. My and I never actually played the old school Doom games until after I played Doom 2016. So I don't really have the
So
nostalgia for
good.
the original Doom games, but I have played them since. My Doom game from that time was Dark Forces. I loved that game,
Oh yeah.
and I know James is always saying like, "Dude, the original Doom might be the best game of all time," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, well, could you look up and down like you could in Dark Forces? No, you couldn't. So, booyah!"
You didn't need to look up and down. It just it would auto aim for that.
So I'm very much looking forward to Night Dive's remaster of Dark Forces. It's coming out in February.
Oh,
I
nice. Yeah, I
probably
gotta keep
won't
an eye out.
I probably won't be playing it new, but I will definitely be playing it at some point because,
Definitely.
like I was talking about, my completion is I'm currently, I'm in year 4, almost in year 5 of my dive, which is basically where you get like one achievement in all the games you want to play, and then
Mhm.
you start playing those games to get your completion back up. But after I started working my way back up, I then started a ton of additional games, so it's taking me way longer. So basically, since the beginning of 2022, I'm like, all right, I'm not starting any more games. I'm actually getting my completion back up to where it was, and then I'm doing another dive, and I'll be starting like 200 something games. So it's at that point I'll be playing all these games that I've been backlogging.
Yeah, I tell myself that too. It's like, okay, I got these games, I have this backlog. I'm just gonna get through these. I'm not gonna worry about buying anything else. Oh, shiny.
Yeah. So I used to, like I was just saying, like I would keep an eye on the sales for anything that was, especially the stuff that was like the easy games when they go on sale for super cheap. Because one of the things that you hate, love it or hate it, on True Achievements, every week they put out an article about all the easiest games that went on sale that week, um, to basically push those easy gamer score games. So I've basically stopped paying attention to those, but I do pay attention to stuff that I do want to play, and I'll buy it when it goes on sale and add it to my backlog so that once I do start my dive, I'll be playing all those games. So, um, I have the only games I've been starting are, as uh, Paul got me on the term of panic playing, are games that I want to play that are about to leave Game Pass. So that's
Oh
about the
yeah.
only thing I start new, because I start it and I beat it before it leaves Game Pass. But other than that, I'm trying not to start anything until I can recover my dive, and then it's game on, fair game for pretty much anything.
You ever like do like a first playthrough or something, you're not really paying attention to what you're getting so far, then you get, so far through the game, or you do like a full run through the game, and then it's like, oh, I've got 70% of the achievements already.
Um, yes, my I'll be talking about it tomorrow on Achievement Chasers, because it was my random game of the month for the Better Completion Matter Challenge for November. But there was a game that I've had and I started back in 2018. I put it in my dive, so I only had one achievement in it. Um, and it's come up as my random game like 3 times over the last few years. And I just like never had, even though it's a relatively short game, I never was like, I don't want to do that right now, so I skipped it. This one I'm like, no, I'm actually going to do it. But so without actually looking at the achievements, I did follow a video guide of
Okay,
all the collectibles, and I ran through it in about an hour and a half, and I had 17 out of the 20 achievements. So
nice,
but I'll be going more into that in depth tomorrow.
cool, yeah, and yeah,
It's always nice
like
because
I'm more of a
there's the opposite, where you go through a game and you like beat it and you've got like 20% of the achievements. Like, really? There's
right,
still that much other stuff to do, and that's not even tied to the main quest line.
right. It's like,
Sometimes
how do
it's
you
like,
expect me to
yes, but
get
then
an?
sometimes it's like, I don't want to do all that.
It's like, how do you expect me to get an 80 plus combo out of that?
Yeah, I am ashamed to admit it, but like, have I talked about it before? I don't know if I've talked about it before on Party Chat, but I know it's one of the topics that I have on the list. I can't remember off the top of my head whether we talked about it or not. But a game that I was not fond of when I first played it, but it has since grown on me a lot over the years, is the Arkham franchise.
Oh yeah.
I did not care for Arkham Asylum when I first played it, but over the years I've really come to love the games. But because I didn't like it, I was also not very good at it. And I've got one of my best buds in real life. He's like godly at the Arkham game, so
Mhm.
he helped me get some of the super hard combat challenge achievements that I'm like, I don't think I'll ever be able to do that.
Yeah, I think I'm mid in the Arkham series at best. Like I know the as far as like the combat sections go, it's not just like tap 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 mashing. There's like a certain rhythm to it
Yeah,
where it's a do 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 do, and then the guy comes in, and then you dot, and then you counter, and then doof, 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 and then you throw in the extra combo or a gadget.
and it gets nuts, especially in Arkham Knight, because there's so many different types of
Oh yeah.
enemies, and you got to know how to handle each one. And they're swarming you. You got a huge swarm of like 50 of them on you at one time, and you have to know exactly how to handle each one. It's like, and sometimes he's like flawless, free flowing the whole thing, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I can't even get a combo up in order to do a takedown.
Yeah, I'm just cursing the ninjas every time they show up.
Oh yeah, because you go to get them and then they teleport, and fortunately that doesn't break your combo unless you miss again.
Yeah, and then I'm like instinctively just hit no, and then of course I come back and they try to slice you. And that one I never really understood how to do the blade dodge thing. It's like, do I hold it
He's
down?
perfect at that blade takedown because if you get really good at it, that's almost the best one because you don't just like take their weapon. If you do it perfectly, you knock them out without having to use a special takedown.
Huh,
So he's like he can do that like every time without fail, and I still don't even understand how to do that correctly. I think I've done it
that's
like twice.
amazing.
So, but yeah, I've definitely gotten a lot better at the games, and it did help my enjoyment greatly. But when I first played, I was not a my big. So I know I have talked about this particular part before. Is that the reason why I wasn't a big fan of the Arkham games? Because I was like, you're this giant hulking monster of a man, Batman. You know,
Mhm.
is looks like someone on steroids, and these thugs it takes like 10 hits to take him down. It's like you're freaking Batman. You should be able to take this guy down in like 2 hits. That was driving me nuts until I really understood the mechanics of the game. And once I really started to connect with me, I'm like, okay, I'm starting to like this now.
But although it is fun to watch, like once you get something going, just like ping ponging between two guys, just flying, bop, flying, bop, flying,
Yeah,
bop.
these dudes like on the opposite side of the map, and you're like almost
Yeah.
teleporting to them. That's always fun.
The oh man, there was something else I was going to say about it. I can't remember.
Yeah, we've gotten like tangent off tangent off tangent because we
Going back to
started
my
out with
original point.
yeah, so you're okay because we started with bad games, and you brought up the Assassin's Creed
Oh
game. I
yeah,
don't
we're
even know if
talking
you
about.
finished
Oh yeah,
on
we're
what you
talking
were
about
saying
kind of
about
brute
that.
forcing. And yeah, the back to that story. Like I said, I had an onion on my belt, which was a style at the time. So, anyways, the girl I was dating, it was her game, and she was playing through it, and we didn't know until like the very end. I think like the very last boss, if not after the credits, that there was an upgrade system.
So you
So
went through the whole game as like the base character.
she played through the whole thing completely unleveled.
Oh my goodness, that's almost as
I,
bad as
I
the
was
Battle Network story I was just telling you about. Not
yeah,
knowing that you can
exactly.
switch chips in the middle of battle.
It was like it was like to be honest, like I'm fucking proud.
Yeah, because let's see here. It's been so long since I played the original Assassin's Creed, but I did play the Ezio collection not that long ago as a
Mhm.
refresher. I'm trying to remember when did the original Assassin's Creed have an upgrade system? I don't remember. It's been so long. I'm just thinking, like,
I
did Ezio collection have an upgrade system, or was that added in later?
I think it was I think sort of yes to both. Like the original, you didn't have like stats you would upgrade. You just kind of upgrade your health more or less.
That's right. Yeah, you could increase. Oh, yeah, your health bar got longer as you got better armor. That I
Yeah.
do remember now that you mentioned. I remember it would break too, and I think you had to go get it repaired at blacksmiths. Or was
That
that one of
was
the
the
later ones?
Ezio trilogy for
That was Ezio
sure.
collection? Okay. Um, so yeah, you got armor and weapons and stuff, but that's there. I'm trying to remember, was there an actual like skill tree upgrade? Because I don't
Mm,
remember there being one until
I
later.
don't I don't think there was one until at least three, and then you
See
could
here.
learn like more hunting skills and such.
Yeah, because I think the early ones, most of your upgrades just came through story progression, not actual like spending skill points to upgrade skill trees.
Yeah, you would just buy better armor and better swords, and eventually you would get enough of the collectibles and get the unbreakable armor.
Yeah, yeah, because yeah, it was later on that they added skill trees where you could add new abilities and stuff.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think it's
remember
like
which one that was that introduced in 3?
I think they started that concept in three, and they fully realized it by the time Origins came around.
Okay, because I'm gonna be talking about Syndicate, because that's what I've been playing the most of this month,
I love
and it
Syndicate.
definitely has skill trees. You love Syndicate?
Yeah, it's although like again, my dad plays a lot of the similar like the Assassin's Creed and Arkham and that. So like I don't know if this is a common thing or if it's just something bugged with his copy, but he's saying he can't do a second playthrough of Syndicate because like there's no new game option. And he's tried
Oh.
erasing the save, he's tried this, that, and the other thing, and just it won't let him.
Well, I don't think it has a new game plus, but I know that after you beat it, you can hit continue and continue running around the world and completing side quests.
Yeah, but it's like you couldn't restart the story for anything.
Hmm.
So once you
Because
get to the end of that, like let me know because I'm curious.
I've beaten it. I just don't have all the achievements yet, and
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna be ranting a bit about that on tomorrow's achievement chasers because I got a bone to pick with the game.
Oh yeah.
But I've basically done everything in the game. I just don't have all the achievements. I finished the um because I had completed the story. Let me find out when that was. Was it October or September? I completed it not that long ago, and then I kind of fell off, and I was like, I'll get back to it. And I started the Jack the Ripper DLC.
Oh nice.
Uh, uh, let's see here. I'm going to find out just another second. Story completed. When did I do that? That was October 1st. I completed the story. So, and then so I completed the story, and then I started the Jack the Ripper DLC, and then I kind of put it on hold. And then I picked back up with it this month, and I
Okay.
completed the DLC, or I beat the DLC, I should say. So I have basically done everything in the game. I just haven't got the completion yet, so I'll be
Okay.
ranting
So
about that tomorrow. Um,
are you more of an Eevee guy or a Jacob guy?
Eevee, because I am much more so it's almost like I didn't even put this together until literally just this second. Um, but there's basically the two elements of Arkham is you got your combat challenges and you got your
Hmm.
predator challenges.
Yeah.
That's basically Eevee and Jacob. I didn't put that together until literally just now. Because Eevee is focused about stealth and Jacob is all
Uh-huh.
about brawling. And I was when I did first play Arkham back in the day, I loved the Predator challenges because I love
Mhm.
stealth stuff and sneaking
Yeah.
around and taking the guys down one by one. I just wasn't a fan of the combat. So I was more of a fan of Eevee than Jacob just because I like the stealth aspect. And especially since so many Assassin's Creed games, even though they're still labeled stealth games, they're not really
Mhm.
stealth games.
Nah, especially the
Um,
later ones.
yeah. So when there is actual stealth elements to it, I'm definitely a fan of it. One of the things that I think, let's see here, I think Unity was the first one to have it, is that it took you up until Unity, which is what would technically be like the seventh or eighth mainline Assassin's Creed game, before they had a crouch button. All the other ones, you couldn't actually crouch and
Oh, what?
hide
Re
until
oh,
you like went behind a
yeah.
wall or something, and then your character would automatically go under the wall to crouch. But you couldn't just be walking around and crouch down until I think Unity was when they finally first introduced. Like, why did it take that long
Right.
to add a crouch button to a stealth game?
You can whistle all the live long day starting at 3, but you couldn't crouch.
Yeah. So that was one thing it was always annoying, especially with like on the tailing missions through the older games. It's like I want to crouch, but I can't. The only way to do it is you have to go into like a crowd of people to do social stealth,
Right,
which
it's
they've definitely tailed off on. So I haven't played any of the newer ones. So I've played everything up through Syndicate. So I have Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla, but I haven't actually played them other than for the first like 30 minutes it takes to get the first achievement.
yeah.
But at least in the more Unity was still there, but in Syndicate it was almost non-existent. Was that whole social stealth aspect where you
Oh,
hide in
yeah, yeah.
crowds of people? It's almost not even in the game. Where that was like a big thing of the first game or the first and the Ezio Assassin's
Yeah,
Creed games,
it
but
worked
that's
really
definitely
well
tailed
in
off.
yeah, it worked really well in the Ezio trilogy. The original, it felt a little odd, like, you had to go specifically into, like, this, you know, dedicated, like, squad of monks or something.
Oh yeah, because I remember that now that you mention it.
But it's nothing quite like, just, through comedy of errors, just running for 5 minutes, sitting down on the bench thinking you're good, and it's like and just the NPC next to you is like, "No, don't touch me."
Yeah, every time I do that, I always think about like if this was real life and I just some random person, I just go into these other group of people's conversation or just sit down on the bench next to these people and be like, "What are you doing? Like, who are you?" And you're just like, "Yeah, I think you make a really good point. I agree." It's like, "Who are you? You're not in this
Right.
conversation." Hey, guards, he's over here.
Right. It's like, hey, yeah, that's whatever you're talking about for you. Wait, who are you? Hey, where's my wallet?
Yeah, yeah. Hey, where's my yeah? That's another thing. It was in Unity, but you didn't really even have to do it. I don't think have I ever even done it once in Syndicate Pickpocket. I'm not even sure it's even in the game anymore.
Not really anymore. It was introduced in two, and that's how I made the first like significant chunk of my money. Is I just pickpocket everybody.
There was an achievement in one of them for pickpocketing like some large amount of money, and it was I think it was like Master Thief or something like
Oh
that. But I
yeah,
remember there was an achievement for it at some point. It's like pickpocket like 10,000 gold or coins or whatever the might have been Florians because I think it was one of these Ezio games.
yeah.
Which if it was Florians, that would make it AC2 because that was the only one that took place in Italy, which would obviously be using Florians.
Yeah. And I think I triggered that one on accident. I wasn't even thinking of achievements or anything at that time. I just had fun pickpocketing people, and I'm like, okay, I need to buy the best armor before I can continue forward. And then
It's
all of a
always
sudden,
funny after you pickpocket like too much, and then everyone's like they're on to you, and like the crowd of people instead of like just
yeah,
going their separate ways, they're all like looking at you.
I'm pretty sure there was one that eventually like they caught wise, and you just go and they'd be like, no,
Yes, I think they did that in Unity. If you do it too much, they'll start like batting you away.
now.
Stop it, stop. It's like
Listen, I'll just give you the 5 here.
so. But yeah, I am planning on. Like I said, I've got the newer ones. The not that I'm not looking forward to it, but of the three new ones, I'm least looking forward to playing Valhalla. I'm much more looking forward to playing Origin and Odyssey. But not that we even know much about it yet, though. But Red, I'm very much
Oh,
looking forward
man.
to.
I'm been wanting the feudal Japan theme for a while, and I actually just finished a novel that uses a lot of those tropes. So I'm especially excited for Red to come out.
Yeah, especially me being an Xbox guy, I've never had a PlayStation, and Ghost of Tsushima is basically feudal Japan Assassin's Creed we never got, and it's only on PlayStation. I'm hoping it comes to PC at some point because I really want to play it
Yeah,
without
same.
having to get an actual PlayStation because all the other PlayStation games I want to play are on PC already. Um, I'm hoping that one does, but I may, if it doesn't at some point, I may just buy a PlayStation just to play Ghost of Tsushima. But in the meantime, I think AC Red will be a good placeholder.
Oh, absolutely.
So.
Origins. They all, from a gameplay standpoint, they all more or less feel the same. To me, Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla. So it really just kind of depends
Oh
on what
yeah,
theme you
those
want.
three.
Obviously, the story is going to be different for each one, but it's 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 a lot. Like I don't think I ever 100% at all the side missions of that for any of them.
Yeah, each one like because pretty much up through Syndicate, they're all about 40 to 50 hour completion. So they're a bigger game for a completion standpoint, but not like huge. But then with Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla, each one just gets massive. I think
Yeah,
I'm gonna pull
it
it up
gets
right now.
massive, and there's like dailies. Like there's certain side missions that'll refresh every day,
Oh, I did not
and
know that.
yeah, at least in Odyssey or not Odyssey in Origins, maybe Odyssey too, maybe all three.
So Origin says it's about 100 hour completion. So basically double Syndicate. That does
Yeah,
include the DLC. But I know that I think Origin or Odyssey is like 150, and I'm pretty sure Valhalla is like 200. So yeah, they're big time sinks. So I'm looking forward to playing them. But when I've got so many games to play, it's sometimes hard to play these giant time sinks of a game. When I was like,
yeah.
because I like getting through a lot of stuff. Oh my god, hurry up! What
Yeah,
is
it's
taking so
like
freaking long? Load.
I've just kind of gone back to a lot of retro stuff lately, just because I know it's like short. Especially some of the games I like, I can knock out in a few hours. Like I've taken
Exactly.
to One of the ones I love doing is are you familiar with the Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past randomizer?
I've heard of it.
I think I've streamed it once or twice, and
So,
it's
real
basically
quickly, I pulled it up here before we switch gears.
Mhm.
Odyssey, yep, 145 hours. Valhalla, 200 hours. So just giant time sink. And then Mirage kind of goes back to the basics. It's about a 30-hour completion, so
Okay,
much
that's
much
not bad.
more manageable. So the Link to the Past randomizer. I've heard of the concept.
Yeah, so basically, they take like the original version of the ROM, and they take all the items. Depending on which fork you do, they'll just shuffle everything in the chest. You have different settings where you can just shuffle the items. You can mix in keys, compasses, maps into the item pool so that anything can really show up anywhere. And there's one that I plan on streaming soon.
So if anything can show up anywhere, couldn't you get locked out of stuff since in Zelda dungeons you need the item to get through the dungeon? If that item shows up behind another dungeon's, is it possible to get locked out of being able to complete it?
Fortunately, the developers behind the at least this randomizer made sure the logic works in such a way where it's not unwinnable.
Okay.
But you can find, say, like in the woods, like where you normally find a heart piece, you might find the hook shot. And so then it's like, okay, I have the hook shot. Now I just need the gloves, and if I'm not good with dark rooms, the lamp. Then I can go to the mountain before anything else. I can go to the east side. I know there's like 5 checks there, and then hey, I found the boots over there. So now that opens up 2 more checks, and it's like,
Okay.
okay,
I
so now I
like
have
this
the
concept because it makes it so you may or may not know that my genre of speciality is Metroidvanias. So this sounds because Zelda is often in contention in Metroidvania circles on like is it a Metroidvania or not because it has a lot of the elements.
Mhm.
Most people consider it not a Metroidvania, but it is heavy on a lot of those elements. This randomizer thing definitely makes it more in the vein of a Metroidvania.
Yeah, it's like a roguelite Metroidvania. Speaking of Metroid, there is a randomizer for Super Metroid that is
Okay.
very excellent. Same concept. It's like you can't get completely locked out of a place, but you'll be able to find the stuff you need. It's like, okay, that you're essentially sequence breaking without having to sequence break. And something else is really cool. Somebody took and they mashed Link to the Past and Super Metroid together, which is often known as SMZ3. So you can go between both games. You have items from both games crossing over into each other's worlds, and it just adds that much more to the puzzle.
So this is one game, but it's basically both of them
Yes.
combined.
Hmm.
And I'm assuming it's like a fan made like emulation sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a website where you just if you have the ROMs for the respective games, you just upload it there, and then you can tweak all the different settings to make it as easy or as hard as you want. And then in terms of the SMZ3, there's a couple of junk rooms in each game where there's no item value or anything like that. So those kind of act as gateways, like going from Link to the Past to Metroid. Uh, there's like a fortune teller's house south of your house that has no kind of strategic value. So you go in there, and then you end up in Brinstar is your next screen.
Huh. Okay. Because I was wondering, like, is it kind of like the Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary, where you can hit the button and flip between the old graphics, the new graphics? Is it like you hit a button and switch between games, or you have to go somewhere on the map to teleport to like the other game? So it
You
sounds
have
like
to
it's
go.
something like that.
You have to go somewhere on the map to teleport to the other game. But the thing is, like, you can save and quit in the game. You'll start back in that game you saved in. So it's not like you're in it's not like you're in lower Norfair, and then you have to like save and quit or reset or anything, and then all of a sudden you're back in like the Sanctuary and Link to the Past.
Okay. Cool. I've never heard of this, so this is very interesting. I might have to check that out at some point. Was
Totally,
that
man.
because you were about to start saying something about you were going to stream something? Is that what you were going to say? Is that you're going to stream this game?
Yes. So I'm going to stream a fork of the Link to the Past one. with a mode called Pottery Lottery. So you know how many pots are in Link to the Past, right? Like,
Probably a lot.
yeah, they're like everywhere. So it takes all the pots, and those are item check locations on top of the treasure chests and the things that are just sitting out loose in the field. And so it makes for like over 1,000 checks. And I'm gonna mix, have that active. I'm gonna mix all the keys in there, and so it's gonna be like I'm gonna be like, okay, I'm 3 hours in and I'm stuck and I haven't gone to a dungeon yet.
It's like
So
and the item I need to do the next thing I want to do could literally be anywhere. That would be a bit disheartening because that
yeah,
is one
it's
of my
like
biggest pet peeves is when I don't know like where I'm supposed to go to do what I need to do to continue on the game.
yeah, that's when you got
So
to figure out the logic. It's like, okay, I don't have the. It's then you have to like kind of figure out what the logic is. Where it's like, okay, I don't have the lamp, so all the dark rooms I shouldn't be going into right now, anyways. I don't have the flippers, but I could glitch to fake flipper. It's kind of a gamble, but it might pay off.
okay, cool.
So
So
yeah, I
do you
got
know
that.
what?
Sorry.
So you haven't started that, is that right?
Correct. I've just been kind of taking a bit of a break myself. I've had old videos that I've been uploading to the current channel just to kind of consolidate all my accounts. So I think the last couple of days I put up actually this morning I put up like a playthrough from about a year ago of me playing through Rondo of Blood.
Okay. I
So I
have
think it might
that in my backlog as well because that Rondo of Blood is in the Castlevania Advance Collection, right?
not the advanced collection. It was in like a 2-pack that came with Symphony of the Night. Came out for PS4.
Okay,
Uh,
because I have the Castlevania Advance Collection because those are Metroidvanias, but I don't
mhm.
know which games are in them because the only Castlevanias I'm not very familiar with the Castlevania franchise. The only games I played was the very first Castlevania I ever played. Well, I played Castlevania on the NES at a friend's house when I was a kid, so I don't really
Mhm.
count that one. The first time I ever owned a Castlevania game and played through it in its entirety was Lords of Shadow because I'm a big
Okay.
hack and slash fan. It wasn't until after that that I played Symphony of the Night once I got big into Metroidvania games. So other than that, I've not played any of the Castlevania games. So I have the Castlevania Advance Collection, but I just don't know which. I mean, I could look it up, but I just don't know what
Yeah.
3 games are in that. And I thought Rondo of Blood was, but
The version of it is Dracula X, which is the far inferior version, is in that one.
okay. Okay, it's Circle of the Moon, Aria of Sorrow, and Harmony of Dissonance, which is confusing because there's two Castlevania games that are Harmony of and then something that starts with D. There's Harmony of
Yeah.
Dissonance. There's also Harmony of Despair, which I also have, and I haven't actually played that one yet either.
And there's also 2 Castlevanias that end in sorrow.
Oh, I did not know that. Aria of Sorrow and
Dawn of Sorrow.
Dawn of
That one
Sorrow.
came out for the DS.
Okay. Is Dawn of Sorrow also the Metroidvania style Castlevania, or is it more of the action platformer from the older days?
It's a Metroidvania. Basically, they kept the Metroidvania style all the way up until Lords of Shadow, I believe.
Okay.
Not counting the 3D Castlevanias.
Yeah, like Castlevania 64,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I don't know anything about that one other than it exists.
There's a Frankenstein monster that chases you through a hedge maze, and it is unkillable.
Would you so it sounds like you're decently familiar with Castlevania franchise. Was Castlevania 64, is that like a black mark on the franchise, or is that well regarded? Where does
Uh,
that fall? Or is
I
it
would
kind of in
say
the
it's
middle?
kind of a cult classic in that regard. Like,
Okay.
it wasn't beloved by as many people, but it's not completely loathed either. Like, I played it, a buddy of mine, he just loves the series, loves everything about the series, and that's how he experienced Castlevania 64 for the first time. It's like, all right, yeah, I can get into it. It's like I didn't hate it. I thought it was good. But when I think Castlevania, I'm more of a class. Like, I always kind of lean towards the classic Vanias.
Okay.
So like Rondo of Blood, Super Castlevania 4, I try to get as far as I can in that, and then the original are probably my 3 favorite of that format. And
And you
then I need to.
Oh, the other one that I have, and I've put a little bit of time into it, was Mirror of Fate, which is a spin-off of the Lord of Shadow. 'Cause it actually has Lord
Oh,
of
okay.
Shadow in the title, Mirror of Fate. You basically play through almost like 3 separate campaigns as 3 different characters, and
Hmm.
I think I've gotten through all I'm almost at the end of the first character's campaign, so I'm almost at the end of what would essentially be like the first act of the game.
Oh, nice.
Um, but yeah, I did that like a long time ago. I have to go back to that at some point.
Yeah.
But the couple hours I've played of it, it's not gripping me and making me want to play more.
Okay. Have you ever checked out Bloodstained?
Yes, I've well, it kind of like Castlevania. There's 2 versions of
Yeah.
Bloodstained. There's Circle of the Moon, which is the classic action platformer, which I
Hmm.
have the first one, and I've dived it, but I have not played it yet. And then Ritual of the Night is basically the spiritual successor to Symphony of the Night, and I
Hmm.
have completed that one, and I am planning on playing it again because I have both I've completed the Xbox version and I have the Windows version, but I haven't played it yet. But I plan to play it again.
Okay, so
And as a game overall, I did enjoy it. My biggest issue with the game is the ridiculousness of the absurd like quests in the game make no
mm,
sense. And there's like 2 or 3 times in the game where I got completely stuck and I was like, if it wasn't for the internet, how would anyone have any idea what you're supposed to do next? Because it's like, go here and trade this item for this item, and then go across the map and then do this, and then you'll get granted this item, and then go across the map somewhere else and then use that item on this door. It's like, how in
it,
the heck would you ever figure this out without the internet? And
how
then
did this turn into King's Quest?
halfway through the game, it's like, oh, go into this room, and then instead of fighting the guy in this room, you have to slash the moon and it'll teleport you into the other part of the castle. How would you ever figure this out?
That is
So
bizarre.
that was my biggest issue with the game, is these things. Like, if it wasn't for the internet, I have no clue how you would possibly figure out how to get to the end of the game. The game itself, I didn't have an issue with. I liked a lot the shard system in that game. I
Mhm.
thought was really cool because you can get more shards and then combine them together to make a better shard. You can upgrade it to, like, once you get it to the top tier shard, then it doesn't take like any mana or whatever to use
Yeah.
these abilities, so you can basically spam. That was really cool. um the cooking system was kind of annoying, but and it's similar to what you were saying a few minutes ago about not knowing until after the game was over that
Mhm.
there was an upgrade system in that AC game. I didn't know until I was almost done with the game that because I was saving all my food for like a
Mhm.
battle when I may need it, because I don't remember if if there were healing items in the game, or whether the only way to heal was at save points. I don't remember off the top
Mm.
of my head.
I thought there were potions, but I could be wrong.
There probably are, because it's been a few years since I played it. Um, but I was saving my food items for when I would really need it. And then near the end of the game, I found out that once you eat a food item for the first time, it gives you some sort of stat buff. So as soon
Hmm.
as you get a food, you want to eat it to make the rest of the game a little bit easier. And I didn't know that till way late in the game. So then I started basically making my character fat. Not that you can actually get fat in the game, but by cooking everything I possibly could. And I think there's an achievement for cooking and eating every piece of food that there was. But some of these food items you make give you really good stat boosts, and I didn't know about it till late in the game. I'm like, no wonder why this game is so freaking hard on me. So next time I play through the game, I know that from the get go, so it's going to be much easier going through it again.
Yeah, I mean, you walk off all those calories to that giant castle, you're never gonna get fat.
So I liked a lot of the mechanics of the game. Just the way that the quests worked in that game annoyed me. Even when I played it again, I'm still gonna have to look it up because I'm gonna get to the same point and be like, I have no idea what to do now.
Yeah. I've it takes me a while to learn those kind of games too, where it's granted I was also a kid at the time, but again, the Legend of Zelda games, up until a point, I always had to have the strategy guide with me because I just couldn't learn the maps naturally, and I would get so lost.
Yeah, there's some games where you get to know the map like the back of your hand, so you can go anywhere without looking at. But then there's some games you rely on the map so heavily, you don't actually get to learn the map and figure out where you need to go just by going places. I think I had that problem with the Metroid Prime games for a long time
Mhm.
because I was using the map so heavily to figure out where I needed to go that I wasn't actually really like paying attention to where stuff was. So anytime I needed to get something, I'm always pulling up the map. I can't just be like, oh, I need to go there. I need to take this hallway off the top of
Oh
my
yeah,
head.
yeah,
No, I know what you're talking about.
yeah. Metro Prime though is so good.
Oh, I freaking love it. No, a lot of people say that Super Metroid's the best Metroid game. Uh, I like not that Super Metroid is a bad game. I freaking love it. It's a great game. But I'm more on the Metroid Prime uh, bandwagon because I didn't actually place. I can't. Well, I think I could be wrong about this, but I don't think I actually played Super Metroid until after I played Metroid Prime.
I was the same way. I actually, yeah, I think Metroid Prime was my first Metroid, and then I got that in the same year. I got the Game Boy Advance copy of Metroid One, not Zero Mission, like the NES Metroid One. But yeah, I would say I would
I
split
had
it up.
Zero Mission, but there was another because on GBA there was Metroid Zero Mission and there was Metroid Fusion.
Yeah,
Those were the only Metroid games on GBA, weren't they?
there were those, and then if you remember, they did a series of like NES classic games that they put on GBA carts, and the original Metroid was one of them.
This is news to me. I never knew this.
Yeah, I have that one, and I also have the arcade Donkey Kong, the NES port of that. Have on a GBA cart.
Cool. I did not know that
Mhm.
was a thing.
Yeah, and I believe at the time when they were selling them new, they also had a special Game Boy Advance SP that had like an NES skin on top of it.
Okay. So I remember seeing because I had the SP and that the SP was my favorite handheld. Um I don't know if it came first party from Nintendo, but I remember at least seeing a sticker you could put on it so when you open it up, the inside of the SP looked like a original NES controller.
Oh yeah, there definitely were those, and I do remember there was like a first party Nintendo one where it's just like it was just it came on the shell, like it was just put on there. You didn't have to put on any extra skins or anything.
Okay. Look, I just pulled up the release order of the Metroid games, and
Mhm.
I think Metroid Fusion was probably the first Metroid I ever played.
Okay.
Well, played through in its entirety. I think I played Super Metroid for a few minutes at a friend's house one time.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and then yeah, because Fusion and Prime came out. Did they come out on the same day? I know they came out very close together, like a week
They
apart,
came out
maybe.
very yeah, and I remember I did actually have both of those as well. And yeah, just I remember being able to I forget what the bonus was in Fusion when you linked it up. I do remember if you linked it up and you took the bonus in Prime, you got to play in the Fusion suit.
Is that what? Yeah, that sounds right. Why didn't I ever do that? Because I had both games, and because I know you needed back then. You need like special accessories to do stuff like that, and I swear
Yeah.
I had it because I had the GBA player attachment for the GameCube, so I could play my GBA games on my TV. I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, it was so cool.
Um, but was that what it was, or was there a different way to do it? Because I don't think that had any other than being able to play your Game Boy GBA games on your TV. I don't think there was any like system linking ability through the GBA player to connect with the other game. Was there? Or was it
Not
something
necess
else?
not necessarily, but there was a GBA link cable that you plug it in one end into the GBA, and then the other one went into a controller port in the GameCube. And now
That's
I remember what the
right.
bonuses were, where
I
you
rem-
if you completed one or the other, you would get the Fusion suit to play in Metroid Prime, and then you would also get to play the original Metroid on the Metroid Prime
yes.
sucker.
Yes, that's right. I remember that. Now that you mention it, I remember seeing the picture of that GBA GameCube cable. I never had that cable, but I did have the Game Boy Advance player. So that's why I never was able to link it. I never ended up getting that cable. I forgot that existed until you said that.
Yeah, yeah, I had one or two of those, and no friends to play Four Swords with.
Yeah, I've heard that that was pretty good. I never really had, eh I never really had friends back then that were big gamers like I was, so all of those types of games I never really got to experience with friends.
Yeah, which is a shame because the GBA port of A Link to the Past had a bonus dungeon that was only playable if you had a completed file of Four Swords.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it wasn't until like years later on YouTube I was finally able to see what it was like, and it would have been I would have loved it because I like Link to the Past is one of those games I just know inside and out.
Yeah.
And so to have a whole other dungeon, basically it was like a second Ganon's tower with all sorts of Dark World boss refights, and then you fight Shadow Link at the end, and like man, that would have been so cool to go through myself.
That sound that sounds awesome. Yeah, so yeah, I knew of Super Metroid, but it wasn't until seeing, like, the development of Metroid Prime that I was like, "Oh, this franchise looks cool." And then I think after that's when I got into Fusion and Prime, and that's when I went back and played Super Metroid. I never played it on Super Nintendo, I played it on emulator on my computer. I've never actually played the original Metroid or Metroid 2, but I did play Zero Mission, so that's basically a remake of the first one.
Yeah,
And I know that what was it down here? Samus Returned, which is a 3DS game, is a remake of Metroid 2.
right.
I never had a 3DS, so I've never played either of those. I do plan to play AM2R at some point. I've
Oh,
started that because I know that's a fan made version of Metroid 2. So I'm looking forward to playing that at some point, but I just don't know when I'm ever going to do that. I've started
yeah,
played like the first like half hour of it.
yeah. I need to see if I can still find that somewhere.
Easy to
The
find. I didn't get it that long ago, and I didn't even know about it till that long ago. And I only found out about it because I was watching my buddy Nerdporo Lifeform stream it a while back, and I was like, "Oh, I didn't know this existed." So that's when I looked into it.
Yeah, and the Samus Returns remake for 3DS. You said at some point you were looking forward to playing Dread.
Yeah, so at some point, whenever I get a Switch, the first thing I'm getting is Dread because I
All
cannot
right.
freaking wait to play that game because I've heard that game is phenomenal.
Yeah, so some of the mechanics in Dread started with Samus Returns,
Yeah, like the
specifically
parry, right?
the counter system and being able to aim like an entire 360 degrees.
Yeah, because on Super Nintendo, you could use the shoulder buttons to go at a 45-degree angle, but you can't free aim.
Right, right, right.
Back in the day. So that was the first one that did a free aim then, was Samus Returns?
Yeah, so that was the first one, and then they carried that over into Dread. Same with the Counter Strike system.
Yeah, I'm
And
definitely looking
then
forward to
they
it. I'm
added
hoping
Mega
we'll
Man's Power
finally
Slide.
hear. Yeah, that's right. I remember seeing that in that in both, Samus Returns and Dread as well?
I think it was just in Dread, and that was to kind of subvert your expectation of getting the Morph Ball right away.
Oh, okay.
Because spoilers, you don't get the Morph Ball right away.
Okay. Um, yeah, I'm hoping sometime soon we'll get an announcement about something related to a Switch Pro or Switch 2 or something. Because I was heavily looking into getting a Switch a couple months ago, but that's when like the rumors about a impending rumor leak, or there was a rumor that there was an impending announcement of a Switch 2. So I'm like, I'm gonna hold off because I'm assuming that whatever comes next will be backwards compatible with Switch games, and at that point, I'll probably get that. And the first thing I'm getting is Dread. But if we don't get anything, then I may just end up getting a Switch and getting Dread and playing it on the regular Switch rather than whatever the next one is.
Yeah, I would say if you're unsure and if you have the means to, maybe just wait for some sort of sale to pick up a
Yeah,
Switch.
I'm very patient. So I mention it all the time. I'm a very frugal gamer, so I barely buy anything until it's like 40, usually 50% off or more. Even some at 40% off, I'm like, I'm gonna wait longer. So
Yeah, it
uh,
does. Steam has a way of tricking my brain into thinking I'm getting a really good deal. Like they just had their autumn sale,
yep,
and
I've
I've been on a huge pinball kick lately.
yeah, yes,
So
you
I got
have.
Pinball Effects, and then all of their tables were like 66% off.
Nice.
And so I got like $50 worth of tables. And I'm going, oh God, I bought $50 worth of tables, but I got
That's
them
the
for two
sale
thirds
price.
off.
Yeah, okay, so if it would have been like 150 if you had paid full price for them.
If I paid full price for all of the tables, it would be like $450.
Oh my god. It's nice. Yeah, now that I've got a because up until like 2-ish months ago, I was still on my 12 going on 13-year-old PC,
Hmm.
which I it was a great computer. I mean, I still use it for other stuff.
Nice.
But I never got it with the intention of gaming. And it's been great. The only thing I ever had to replace was the hard drive. I put in an SSD probably like 5 or 6 years ago when the
Oh,
mechanical
nice.
drive died. But it was been a great computer, and it was pretty top tier when it came out. Just didn't have a powerful GPU, which I didn't care about that because I wasn't going to be gaming on it.
Right.
So up until just a couple months ago, and I got because I got all the parts for this computer last year, but I couldn't get it running. And so a couple months ago, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna figure out what's wrong with it and get it running. So I finally got it up and running. I've got a beefy, powerful computer that can run stuff. So I've slowly been building my Steam library. So I took advantage of that as well with the first big Steam sale after getting this computer running. So I've built up. I think I probably got about 40 games now in my Steam library,
Cool.
and I'm looking forward to playing a lot of those as well. One of them um, I bought, and it's the one that I've been playing when I should be working on completing my Xbox achievements to get my completion percentage up. I'm like, I don't really want to do that right now. I want to play this game, and it doesn't even have achievements. So I think Kay will be proud of me for that. Because the last couple days I've been neglecting Xbox to play a PC game that doesn't even have achievements, and that's Satisfactory. Are you familiar
Oh
with
yeah,
that game?
Satisfactory. It sounds familiar.
So because one of my favorite games of like the last 5-ish years, it's older than that, but I think it was only on PC for about the first 4 or 5 years of its life before it went to other platforms. Is Subnautica.
Okay.
I I freaking love it. I can't rant enough about how much I love Subnautica. And Kay was joking about it on one of the streams recently. She's like, Neo loves Subnautica, and if you start streaming it, he will find you and he will watch you and give you tips on how to play Subnautica. Because like Horny Alpha has been playing it off and on here every once in a while, and Paul comes into the chat. He's like, "Oh yeah, of course I find Neo here in the Horny Alpha Subnautica stream." So I freaking love that game. But crafting and base building is a big element to that game, which I've never really played any crafting or base building games before, but I love it in
Mhm.
Subnautica. And just like 2 weeks ago, I came across a thread on Twitter's about post a GIF of a game you have over 100 hours in, and someone had a picture of this character I've never seen before, and I replied, I'm like, "What game is this from?" He's like, "Satisfactory," and I've got 2,300 hours in. I'm like, "Oh my goodness," because I had heard of the game Satisfactory, but I didn't know anything about it other than it's a crafting building game. So I looked into it, and I'm
Mhm.
like, because a lot of those crafting building games are like God games, sort of where it's an
Right. Yeah.
isometric view and you're building it almost like it's Command and Conquer, just without enemies,
Mhm.
and you're just building stuff out. Which I've I played the demo for one that's not out yet called The Crust. And I was like, I'm liking this. But the thing about Satisfactory is it's all played in first person, much like
Oh,
Subnautica. So it's
okay.
very much like Subnautica, but you're not underwater. You're on land and you're building stuff. So I've been freaking loving it. I've played it. I think I started playing about 4 days ago, and I've got about 14 hours in it. So um,
Nice.
I'm freaking loving
So
this game.
if
And
I
but I
ever end
feel
up,
oh, so go ahead.
I was gonna say, so if I ever end up doing a playthrough of Subnautica, feel free to just hop into a Discord call and co-commentate with me because I'll probably be lost as hell.
Yes, I tell everyone who's like, 'cause I've been trying to get James to play it, Kay to play it, Paul to play it. I'm like, I freaking love this game. Another thing I've mentioned this on a lot of streams is being an achievement hunter, and I've
Mhm.
got such a big backlog. It's like I sh- I'll neglect playing the games I should be to go and play Subnautica, even though I've beaten it like 7 times. The first one I think I've beaten 7 times, and the Below Zero, the sequel, I think I've beaten
Mhm.
4 times now. And so you basically just by completing the game, you'll get I think all but one achievement,
Okay.
which you can get, but you have to go out of your way of the main story to get it. But it's not that much out of the way, so you're very likely to get all of the achievements just by playing through the game. because there's
Nice.
not very many of them. I think the first one has 17 achievements and the second one has like 13, so it's not very many.
Okay.
Um, and I've played it. It's like I should be working on my Xbox achievement games, but I'll go back and do another playthrough of Subnautica when I'm not getting any achievements because I freaking love the game so much. Hey, look at that! And look who is in the chat. We have not talked about Subnautica. We've been going for over an hour now, and I just mentioned Subnautica about 2 minutes ago, and Paul shows up. He's like, "Oh, what a surprise! Neo's talking about Subnautica again."
Hey, Paul,
So,
how's it going, buddy?
what's up, Paul? Good evening, man. I swear we were not talking about Subnautica. I was talking about Satisfactory because it has a lot of Subnautica elements, just not the whole water part. And I've been
They
playing
both have
that.
a in them.
Yeah, and Satisfactory does not have any achievements in it, and I've been hooked on playing this game, and it's very base buildy like Subnautica. So I'm very much enjoying the game, even though because there's another game that gets mentioned very often with Satisfactory called Factorio, which is one of those God type games where you're building it from the top down and you're building this giant factory and you're automating all this stuff, which is exactly what Satisfactory is doing, except Satisfactory does it in first person rather than isometric view. But I know that Factorio, you also have to build like base defenses because you'll get attacked by like creatures and animals and stuff. So I like the Zen element of it. I don't have to worry about getting attacked. I mean, Satisfactory does have a couple of little enemies, but they're usually just one or two of them defending like where you'll find an ore vein where you need to set up like a mining thing.
Mhm.
But it's not like you need to build base defenses because you're gonna have to survive an onslaught of enemy creatures attacking you like Factorio does.
Right, yeah.
So I like that. It's very calm. You don't have to worry about getting attacked. Whereas Subnautica, most of it's pretty zen, but there are some very large leviathans that when you go into their territory, you have to watch out because they'll kill you. But Satisfactory, basically, your biggest worry for health is fall damage, but you don't even take that much fall damage, so you can fall from pretty high up, and your health
Okay.
regenerates pretty quickly on your own. You can eat items to regenerate faster, but I usually don't because the only thing that's going to kill you is potentially these little creatures, and they're pretty weak.
Yeah.
So I like the zenness of it and the Subnautica like base building aspects. It's just I'm kind of lost. I've been watching some videos of people who know what they're doing because I've just got like this mishmash of stuff going everywhere. And when I go and watch these videos of people who have played it for like 1,000 hours, and it's like everything is so nice and neat and pristine. They got everything
Mhm.
like so like perfect. And then like you go look at mine, and it's almost like the meme of Donald Glover walking into the apartment and everything's on fire.
Mhm.
That's if you go and look at my factory compared to these other people who really know what they're doing. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I just know it tells me that I need to build 50 of this item, and I know I need to get my resources into this unit that can turn it into this unit, and then I can turn this item into this unit with this thing. So there's like all these conveyors going all over the place, and it makes no sense, and there's no symmetry to any of it. So,
It's the Homer
yeah, I've
Simpson
been.
moment of that's one fine looking barbecue pit. Why doesn't mine look like that?
I'll have to take your word for it. I've seen like 2 episodes of Simpsons, so
It's probably my
sorry.
favorite moment. Like after it's slightly after the point where most people consider the show good. Uh, but it's just like there's just like a pre-plot of like Homer wants to build a barbecue pit because he saw one in Home Depot.
Oh,
And basically he gets to the point like Lisa goes in after laying down the concrete and he's trying to put together like everything falls out of the box into the wet cement, so he's just like frantically trying to put it together, and then it just kind of dissolves to like a completed barbecue pit, and then that's where that moment happens. He's like they like pulls down the brochure and you just see this big jumbled mess.
I'm sure James would have caught that because he knows he's like I think I speak in Simpsons sometimes because he just quotes it like it's like breathing air
So
to him. So, but
just
yeah,
wonder
no,
like next
unfortunately,
time
I can't follow along with that because I've not seen very much of it. What was that?
I was gonna say like next time I like pop into his chat or something, I should just be like, "Howdly doodly, neighborino."
Yeah, I'm sure he would know. He would be all over that. But yeah, I've been playing Satisfactory, and yeah, I've been looking through my Xbox. I'm sitting on my couch looking at my Xbox, and I'm like, I don't want to play that right now. I don't want to play that right now. I don't want to play that right now. I'll go like computer play Satisfactory.
Yeah, it's like I was talking about the pinball, and I bought like $50 worth of tables, but then there's this other little like free. Uh, I guess it could be considered a pinball game called Pincremental, and it's an
Good
idle
name.
game.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, you were saying?
Oh, I was just saying that's a clever name.
Oh yes, it's a good name, and it kind of drew me in. And it was like, oh yeah, you can kind of like automate a pinball table, but first you have to like you can like control the flippers in that, but it's very rudimentary, and it's more the point of you get it to automate itself so that way it builds enough points where it gives you enough tickets to where you can get enough favors from the mob, I'm assuming, who then you can exchange those favors for corporate investors and then eventually wizardry. But every time you get a new set of the things, it resets the entire board. And so you have to like rebuild so many times and then re-automate it. And I've sunk at the very like definitely double digit hours into it.
So is it more of a pinball game or more of a like simulation management game? It almost sounds like.
It's yeah, it's almost like cookie clicker with pinball elements
Okay, I think I've heard of that.
of cookie clicker.
Yeah, that the name sounds somewhat familiar. What's that?
It's another idle game where you start and it's literally you click on a cookie so many times and then you get enough points to again get it kind of like automated, and then you get more and more stuff that gives you more cookies, and it just kind of builds up to infinity.
Okay, so it sounds like the the app game that they make fun of in South Park with
Yeah, that's the one.
Canada wanting their internet dollars.
Yeah.
I am much more familiar with South Park than Simpsons. So if you reference that, I'll probably know what you're talking about.
Chef doesn't quite understand what you mean by that. I mean, put a fucking chicken in a weenie and make a game name.
Oh my god, that was freaking hilarious.
Mhm.
So unrelated. I've been staring at it all stream so far, and it didn't even click with me. Curious. Shoot, did I already ask you this? I don't think so, because on Party Chat it's much more structured. And I don't really want to go off topic, but Platypunk. Did I ask you where that came from?
Okay, so that came out of a twisted mind and a really talented artist. So I just before the platypunk avatar came to be, I was using another like illustrated platypus just as sort of like a general avatar because I don't like looking at my face every time I go on Facebook. And so at one point I just wanted like, okay, I want a version of this, but I want to be able to credit the artist. And so there was one that was kind of following. He does a lot of illustrations for a band called Toehider, which is an Australian sort of prog rock metal project.
I wonder if
And
Paul heard of this band before.
I'll have to ask him, yeah.
Paul, have
And
you heard of that? What was it? Toe Rider?
Toehider,
Toe
all one
Hider.
word.
I'm curious, Paul, if you've heard of this band before.
It's excellent music if you've never experienced it. But anyways, the illustrator for that project, Andrew Saltmarsh, who goes by Salty or Salt, he streams on Twitch. He just like draws on stream and that. But anyways, so I was kind of following them, and I just decided to like reach out to him one day and just be like, hey, basically seems like, hey, are you open for commissions? And he said, yes. So what are you looking for? So I'm like, okay, I want like an anthropomorphic platypus with that just like like a punk rock platypus that's doing the Buddy Christ pose. And then he comes back and he asks like old school or new school punk. And I'm like, gotta go old school. And so I thought I was just gonna get like a quote. And he comes back like not too much later. I think it was like later that day. And he comes back, is like, okay, here's kind of like the rough outlining for it. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I gotta finish this now. But yeah, Andrew Saltmarsh, definitely like one of the most talented artists I know. And
Okay.
so yeah, it's the Salt on Twitch if you ever want to go check out his stuff or look up artwork for Toe Hider.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it
So
is.
is Paul has not heard of it. Is this correct? Is that right? Toe Hider?
Hang on, I'm doing this all off my phone, so it's a little strange.
Oh, you're off your own. So it
Yeah,
like
Toe Hider. All one word.
okay, but
So
spelled
take the space
correctly.
out.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. I may have to check that out at some point.
Absolutely. Right now, he's doing sort of a project. When he started Toe Hider, Mike, the musician behind all of it, he did a project called 12 EPs in 12 months, and he did just that. He did 12 EPs in 12 months, and then he collected them all. And right now, he's kind of doing it again, where it's essentially 12 EPs in 12 months, part two, all new music, all releasing like once a month, and it is all fantastic.
Cool. I'll have to check that out. Yeah, it sounds like Paul's going to as well. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I was curious about that because I remember seeing I think it was it on let me see here. Pull up. I think it was on Twitter in our DM. No, because you have where did I just see it? You got your GNDN on Twitter.
Oh yeah.
It was Discord. That's where it was.
Oh yeah, Discord. I also have
Yeah, that's right.
Platypunk Twitter. That was my old, like, that's my personal handle, and
Yeah,
I
that's
think
right.
that's still the avatar there.
Yeah, it was now that I got it pulled up here. Yeah, it's got the punk platypus with the Buddy Christ. I didn't catch the Buddy Christ part until you mentioned it.
Yeah,
So yeah, I saw that movie once, like 15 years ago.
yeah, yeah. It's like after he gave it to me, and like I paid him for it. And I was just like, hey, thanks for rolling with like such a weird request. And he's like, hey, the weirder the better. So it's like if I ever get the money again, I want to see if he can do like some thumbnails for me.
Nice. So the guy who did the artwork, is he part of the band or does he just do the artwork for the band?
Yes. He doesn't
Yes.
play any music in the band, but he's a good friend of Mike Mills, the musician.
Okay.
And so he's essentially considered one half of it because it's a lot of like for as much music as there is, there's also just as much illustration. And along with the current 12 EPs in 12 months, there's also been like a companion comic book that's been being released a page at a time.
Okay. Cool. I'm assuming it's on my end because Paul hasn't said anything about it, so I'm pretty sure it's not on YouTube's end. But my audio I've been able to catch everything that you're saying, but it keeps cutting in and out. So it's really annoying me. So I'm gonna try
Oh, I'm
unplugging
sorry.
my. No, I'm almost positive it's on my headphones and
Mhm.
or my Bluetooth receiver. So I'm gonna unplug it real quick. So I might lose my headphones, my wireless one. So I may have to switch over to my wired. It's just annoying
Okay.
the heck out of me. So I'm gonna unplug it here, and I may lose you on my headphones.
Okay.
But we'll see here. Hoping it'll reconnect as soon as I plug it back in.
Yep, there it goes.
So, because I don't want it to come through my speakers, because then obviously my microphone's going to pick it up. So
Right.
let's see here. Yeah, you're still coming through my speakers.
Am I still coming through?
Yeah, my
You
headphones
mean
are not.
you need to do sort of a sound check?
And Bluetooth disconnected. It's not showing up on my list. I'm going to try rebooting my headphones.
Oh no.
And then if that doesn't work, and then of course it showed up right as I was powering it off.
Of course.
Connect automatically. If not, I'll go to my wired headphones. But I hate them because they're not very long. So let's see here. Give it. Come on. Reconnect. Come on. And they just turned off. All right. Hate it when it does that. All right. Switching over to the wired.
Bluetooth, the
Usually
blessing and the curse.
it does that for me. It starts being choppy, like just in the first minute or two, and then it's fine the rest of the stream. But it's been doing it all stream, and it's really annoying me. So,
Wonder if the battery's running low.
Thanks for hanging in there with me as I untangle these things. Is this right or is this left? That's left. All right. But I need to get longer ones because I can't. No. All right.
All right, Neo headphone check. Am I cutting out?
Oh, no, I lost you entirely.
Uh-oh.
Keep talking. See if I can.
So we
Come on, one of these things we have to get.
one silence. I know, yes, I know we all go away.
Oh, what? I've got
What do
it.
you think?
Okay, I've got it on the right ones. I hear
Hey,
noise, but it's
your
turned up
noise.
to 100 and it's almost silent. Yep. All right, I think I
What if
got
I
it.
just get real close, real up close and personal, and you can hear me?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I have to actually hold it in to the headphone jack really hard,
Oh,
otherwise
that's
it's
funky.
almost completely silent.
I mean, we have been going an hour and a half. If
Oh, there we go. It
tech
wasn't
issues
plugged in.
kill it.
It wasn't
Oh,
plugged in all the way. I
oh, all right, cool.
I was pushing it really hard and it still wasn't in all the way. So I looked at it, I'm like, "Oh, there's a little gap there." All right.
It's like,
All
no, you
good
need to
now.
put me in just right.
Yeah. Freaking.
But
It
yeah, I
took
was
me
wondering, like, maybe
forever to
the
figure out
was
how
like
to
the battery dying?
No, it's just um it took me freaking months to figure out how to properly get these things to connect to my computer and be able to use them properly. And I've got it all figured out. So I can basically get it working immediately every time. Um, but usually when it first starts, it's crackling when other people are talking. But I know it's on
Mhm.
my end because no one ever says anything in the chat. Like there's audio issues, so I know it's only me. But then
Okay.
it goes away after like a minute or so, and then it's good for the rest of the stream. But for some reason tonight, it was doing it off and on the entire time. Been able to catch everything you're saying, but it was just really annoying when it's
Oh,
5
yeah.
seconds good and then 5 seconds of breaking up and then 5 seconds of good. So I was
Oh,
just
yeah, that would
phase it
annoy
out.
me to no end.
So all right. So you were
Yeah.
going back, way back. So you're more of a Genesis kid. Um, so did you have all the Sega platforms before they
Uh,
became a software company?
surprisingly, no. I had the Genesis, and then that was the last one that I had bought myself. Later down the line, well, actually, no, that's not true. I had a Game Gear at one point, and those were some of the best memories being tethered to a wall.
Oh yeah, it's like
But yeah,
it's core
otherwise,
to a console that
yeah.
goes through
But
batteries
yeah, I
like
didn't get a Dreamcast until way, way later. I don't think I ever owned a Saturn.
okay,
But it's just that I
because
had the Genesis, but then I was more of a Nintendo kid the rest of the way.
okay,
So I
yeah.
had like,
I never had I played a Genesis over at my friend's house, and I played a Saturn over at another friend's house, and I played a Dreamcast over at another friend's house. But I never had a Sega myself. But I was a Nintendo kid until about GameCube. I did have a Wii, but basically at the GameCube era, switched over to Xbox, and then been on the Xbox train ever since.
yeah, I've basically been a Nintendo kid all the way through, partly because I had strict monitoring on the media that I could access. So I think the reason why I never got a PS2 initially, like for Christmas or anything, was because games like Grand Theft Auto existed on it, and they didn't exist on the GameCube.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Nintendo is definitely much more the family
Yeah.
friendly company. Um, But I'm a just because the game exists on a console, then like, you can't have
Yeah,
that console in its entirety?
right, and so I missed out on a whole generation, so everyone's, like, fond for, like, God of War and, everything else that was on PS2 is like, yeah, okay, it's cool. I mean, I had Metroid Prime, I had Luigi's Mansion, I had, Wind Waker.
Yeah, yeah, I've never had a PlayStation, but there are PlayStation games that I would have liked to have played, especially like the old God of War games, because
Yeah.
'cause I'm a big hack and slash fan, so I know I would have loved those games.
Yeah, I got a
Um,
PS3 later on, unfortunately, like, all the games I was interested on playing on PS2 were ported to PS3, and I remember especially at the time, like, I got the God of War collection, I also got really, really deep into Metal Gear Solid.
okay. Yeah, another franchise that I'm sure I would have liked had I ever gotten into it, but that boat has kind of sailed for me. I don't think I ever will. But
Yeah,
I
okay,
was a
that's
big
fair.
fan of Splinter Cell. I love Splinter Cell, so I
Yeah,
know
it seems like you're either Metal Gear or you're Splinter Cell.
that's kind of the internet debate is Sam Fisher or Solid Snake. But yeah,
Solid Fisher.
or Metal Snake.
Metal Snake.
No, not Metal. No, Metal
Or
Fisher.
Sam Snake.
Yeah, Sam Snake or Metal Fisher, right? No, Solid
Clifton, I thought you were dead.
Snake and Sam Fisher. Solid Fisher and Sam Snake. Yeah, there we go. There wouldn't be any metal in
Dexby.
the character's name, just in the franchise name. But Metal Snake, that sounds like a character from Metal Gear. Is there a character named Metal Snake?
uh,
I don't know much about the
I
franchise.
don't.
Basically, everything I know
Not
about
that
the
I'm
franchise
aware of.
is
There
from
was
Mark
a
telling me about it on Party Chat.
Yeah, there's a Solid Snake, whom everybody knows. There's Liquid Snake, Liquid, and then there was a third one, Solidus Snake, and they were all the clones of Big Boss, who, when you first play as him in Metal Gear Solid 3, is known as Naked Snake.
Okay, I was gonna say, I swear that there was a naked snake in there somewhere.
Yep, that's Big Boss before he became Big Boss.
Okay. Yeah, I was watching basically the longest I've ever actually seen in the game was I was watching Mark stream Metal Gear
Mhm.
Solid 5 a week or so ago.
Okay.
And he got to the point where he was in a sniper battle with Quiet, and like that
Oh
was
yeah,
brutal. It's like, geez, she's like crazy strong. Like she'll one shot you, and she's super fast, and you don't know where she is. I'm like, how the heck are you supposed to beat it? It took him a while to beat it.
yeah. It's
Um,
really rough the first time around. Like once you get better guns, and then I think if you get, I think you can get like an infrared sort of a thing that helps you track her down much more easily.
yeah, that would definitely be helpful.
But yeah, it's like MGS5, probably my favorite gameplay, but unfortunately the story was never actually finished. If you're
Right.
familiar with, there was sort of like a
I
messy divorce between Kojima and Konami.
Yep, I do know about that. Yeah, and I know that people like disappointed that they never got the actual ending to the Metal Gear franchise, and
Yeah,
likely never will.
no, but hey,
But hey, you
Metal Gear
got
Delta
Metal
is
Gear
cool.
Survive, right? Don't you guys
Oh
have
god,
phones?
but yeah, I mean like Metal Gear Survive. I don't know, man. I haven't played it myself, so I can't give a full opinion on it. But
Same.
the
I've heard
best.
nothing but bad things about it, and they even charged you for an extra save slot.
That's so dumb.
I think it was like $20 too. It's like that's ridiculous.
I'll just play Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance again.
Yes, that's the only Metal Gear game I've played, and that game is freaking awesome.
Yeah, I was listening to the soundtrack not so long ago. It's still every single one's a banger.
Yeah, with because a lot of people have been talking about video game soundtracks lately, and that's actually something we're gonna be talking about on Party Chat on Saturday.
Nice.
Um, and I've seen a few people mention Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. Like I played it when it came out, and I played through it once, and I haven't played through it since. So it's one of those games where I need to go back to it because I only got like 30% of the achievements, so I still
Mhm.
got a lot of work to do on the game. I do plan to do it at some point, but I'll pay attention to the music 'cause I don't really remember anything about the music. I just remember the
Yeah.
gameplay being awesome.
Yeah, the gameplay is awesome. The music is awesome. The lyrics I find interesting because the lyrics for all the boss fights uh, are told from the perspective of the boss. So like Blade Wolf, he's talking about it's like I'm breaking free from the pack, I'm going out on my own. And then like the next one is like, I'm just kind of stranger here. And then you get to like Armstrong, who he's talking about like government control and stuff. But then the script flips in like the final boss, like after you beat the actual Metal Gear, and then it flips. At least to my understanding, it flips to Raiden's perspective. And he's
Okay.
like, okay, it has to be this way. I'm carving my own path. I got to do that. And so it just, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it right now.
Yeah, I think when I think that we really started talked about a lot when I had Angry Canadian on for open mic because he's a big video game music guy. I know DJ Access is too, but I haven't. I was just thinking about it, like I haven't actually had him on for open mic. The only time he's been on here was my very first stream when we talked about Mega Man. So I need to get DJ Access on here, but they're both big video game music guys. But Angry Canadian was just talking like all else about video game music. I'm like, I've never really paid attention much to video game music. It really takes a lot for me to like really notice it. So, um, as I know I've been keeping an ear out for it more lately for when I play through games, paying more attention to the music.
Yeah.
Because it's just not something I've ever really paid much attention to,
Okay.
unless it really, really stands out to me. Because one of the things that we talked about, or I talked about because given that I'm not very familiar with a lot of video game music because I haven't really paid attention to it much, but the ones that really caught me was the Ori soundtracks, which are
Okay,
some Ori Will of the Wisp is my favorite Metroidvania of all time.
nice.
Fantastic, phenomenal game, and they both have fantastic music. It's one of the very few video games where I've ever actually listened to the soundtrack. Like I went like to YouTube or Spotify or whatever to listen to it outside of the
Mhm.
game. I've never really done that with a video game before because the music has never like stood out to me that much. Oh,
It's
look at that! Paul's like, "That's awesome." I was listening to the Revengeance soundtrack just today.
oh, right on,
Nice.
dude. But yeah, I'll find soundtracks on Spotify every so often, like the Metal Gear Rising. There's a game called Anarchy Reigns, which I don't know if you remember the game Mad World for the Wii.
I did not play it, but I am familiar with the game and the concept.
Okay, so yeah, Anarchy Reigns was essentially the follow-up where it was this online multiplayer brawler. It was a cool concept, but the community was sort of DOA, which is
Yeah.
unfortunate because I really like that
It
game.
was a Wii game, right?
It Mad World was for the Wii, but Anarchy Reigns was for like 360 PS3.
Oh, so they switched platforms. Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So like that soundtrack is really good. It's a lot of not like hip hop, but it's like rap, like over like it's almost like rap metal in a certain way.
Okay.
And then Anarchy Reigns kind of gets a little bit more EDM with it,
I've I've heard those letters before.
electronic dance music.
Okay.
So like
So
techno.
okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I like a lot of that. I don't listen to it a whole lot, but I do like a lot of that stuff. And yeah, when Paul was on open mic, I think it was one of my first few open mics. He mentioned that he loves the Mirror's Edge soundtrack and listens to it all the time.
Cool, man.
And when he said that, I'm like, you're right. Now that you mention it, I do remember the music being really good in the game. It's not something that's like stood out to me at the time, but I do remember liking the music in Mirror's Edge. I still have not gone back and listened to it since he mentioned that, so I need to do that.
Yeah. And then I also been really digging on. I get in fits for it, but I really, especially when it was new, really digging on the Pizza Tower soundtrack.
Okay. I've seen a couple clips of the game, but I haven't heard any of the audio from it, so I have no idea what the audio sounds or audio or music, I should say. Oh, it looks like we got a few people hopping in here. We got Kay showing up. What's up,
Hey,
Kay?
Kay,
Howdy. And Insidious Bliss also hopping in here at the same time. Glad you guys could join us.
how's it going, y'all?
So we've been all over the place tonight. Right now, we just happen to be on the topic of video game music.
Right?
Um, and Charlie was just about to mention Pizza Tower, or he did.
Yes, yes, Pizza Tower, which, funny enough, uses a lot of samples from Jet Set Radio.
Okay, I know that's another
Yeah,
game that I never played, but I know has a cult-ish, cult-like following. People are like when talking about like original, because I think the original was on an original Xbox game, and people when talking about original Xbox games, they're like, "Oh, I'd love a sequel to that or something."
I think it actually no. I think it might have been on Xbox, but I know it was on Dreamcast for sure.
Okay, maybe that's what it was. People were talking about Dreamcast games because was there two games in that Jet Set Grind and Jet Set Future or something like that?
Yeah, there was Jet Set or Jet Grind Radio, depending on where you're playing it, and then Jet
Oh,
Set
was that a
Radio
regional
Future.
thing?
I think so. And then Jet Set Radio Future was the sequel.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, I never played it, but I've seen a couple clips of it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like it's somewhat of a cell shaded mix between Tony Hawk and a rhythm game.
It kind of, yeah. It's cell shaded like Tony Hawk with like spray paint graffiti.
S- Right. And like you spray paint stuff that you like do tricks on, so it's almost more like Splatoon like.
Yeah, so it's almost like, okay, so you have kind of this playground, you're on rollerblades, and you can do tricks in that for points, and that's how you get some of the spray cans. And then you go up to certain points, and you're basically like staking out your territory just by tagging over certain things or over other people's tags. And then
Okay.
eventually the police start chasing you, and then like things start getting really wild later on in the game.
Okay. So yeah, it does sound more like it does sound kind of like a mix of like Tony Hawk and Splatoon, sort of.
Yeah.
Although Tony Hawk did have a multiplayer version like that, where everything you tricked off of, you would basically own that item, whether it was a rail or a half pipe or whatever. And
Oh,
in
nice.
order to take it from whoever you're playing against, you'd have to trick off of that feature or whatever, and score more points than them. And the more points you got, like the darker the color got, meaning you need a bigger score to outdo them. But you
Okay.
could do it on all of the features that were in that skate park. So sounds kind of like that made into its own game.
Yeah.
And Kay is saying that Pizza Tower is a love child of Wario Land and Dreamcast goodness. So
Pretty much. Yeah.
from what little I know about Wario, I would probably agree. Watching,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
It's.
Dunson was playing Wario Shake It. Maybe see where Pizza Tower comes from. Okay, well, you were just about to say something.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was saying. Yeah, the Pizza Tower is definitely inspired by Wario Land 4, especially the escape sequences.
Okay, yeah, I've never played a Wario game, so um, the only thing I know about, well, I've seen like a couple of short clips from Wario Land, which is more of like a Mario type game. But
Mhm.
what I've seen more of is the mini game. What's that
Oh,
one?
WarioWare Inc.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, WarioWare. I've
WarioWare.
seen a bunch of clips from that game. That game just looks like wacky.
It's perfect for like ADHD folk.
It's got like tons of mini games. They're like 3 seconds long or something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think the one that pops into my head off the top from the couple of clips I've seen of it is one where you're like trying to aim the finger and get it in
Hmm.
the nostril.
It's exactly the one I was thinking of.
That's funny. It's got how many mini games we're both thinking of the exact same one.
Yeah, like 150 mini games just in the first one alone. What's the first one to go to? Nose picking.
Um, yeah, when it comes to party games like that, the I played a little bit of some Mario Party on the Wii
Okay.
because my roommates at the time were big into it, so we'd play it every once in a while, and I hated it
Yeah.
because I always lost because of the stupid randomness of it. It's like it doesn't take skill; it's just like
It,
arbitrarily awards you points. So it
oh
makes
yeah.
no difference whether you do good or not. And if you're doing good, it's like communism because it's like if you're doing good, it's going to take away from you, or communism on
Oh,
paper. And if you do terrible,
House
it's going
Revolution.
to be in your favor because the whole idea is that everyone's on a level playing field.
Yeah.
Um, but I know in actual communism, that's not how it actually works. But on paper, that's how it's supposed to work. But that's how the game felt to me because it's like, what's the point in even trying when it just arbitrarily awards points and takes them away from you? And so I hated that game because I never, ever, ever won. Um, but the
Fair
one
enough.
party game I did play quite a lot of was Fusion Frenzy. Do you ever play Fusion Frenzy?
I've heard of it.
That's basically Xbox's Mario Party. Um, and I've mentioned it a couple times. The only reason why I know it existed is because there was a demo of it that had 3 of the mini games on the original Halo disc.
Oh,
So, because we would play Halo LAN parties all the time. Me and all my soccer buddies, we were huge into Halo in high school. So we were always playing Halo. And every once in a while, I'd be like, kind of like, we'd stop playing Halo and we'd go to the demo disc option at the bottom of the home menu of the game and go and play with some of the Fusion Frenzy mini games. That was a lot of fun.
yeah,
So,
that's awesome. Yeah.
oh,
Take me back to
look at this.
take me back to
Kay's like,
well,
Neo's never surprising me. She knows me too well. I knew you were gonna say Fusion Frenzy. You
we
know
are
me so
one.
well. Xbox nerd. Yeah, Fusion Frenzy was so much fun. My favorite mini game was called Twisted System, and I would almost always win it. And it's because you're 4 players, and you're in this like this thing it's like a spy. It almost looks like a spiral drill. And so it's constantly spinning, and you're just above the water line, and well, you're a little bit up. But all you do is jump over the little bars that are low, and if
Mhm.
the bar is high, then you duck, and that's all you do. And as you get farther and farther, it gets faster and faster, and you can get hit about 2 or 3 times until you get knocked into the water, and then you're out.
Oh, okay,
And so
nice.
it's a 4-player mini game, and I would almost always win that one. I was really good at that mini game. But there were other mini games on there that I was terrible at that I always lost. So I was always, but that was one of the ones that was in the Xbox demo. We actually finally got a copy of the full game on disc, and we basically just resorted to playing those same mini games because we love those mini games so much.
Yeah, it's almost like I had like one of the PlayStation demo discs way back when, and so it's like I just like it had like one level from Crash 3. It had like most of the first world from Spyro. It had the first 30 minutes of Metal Gear Solid, first 30 minutes of Medieval,
Is
and
that the one where you play as the skeleton knight?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I've seen clips of it, and I've never played it myself.
And so
But
I think I
that's quite a
played.
good smattering of games on a demo
It
disc.
really is, and those weren't the only ones. But I think I played the demos more than the actual games themselves.
Yeah, that's probably, you know what, that's a really good idea for a potential party chat question is like, what's a demo you played more than the actual game?
Hey,
For me, it
yeah,
would be Fusion Frenzy.
yeah, I would
Oh,
say
I just thought of another one.
Medieval.
Was Unreal Tournament 2003. I never
Oh,
had the actual game. I had the demo and I played the heck out of the demo. But then a year later, Unreal Tournament 2004 came out and I bought that one. I played a heck of a lot of Unreal Tournament 2004. But that's a good question.
nice.
I'm gonna throw that on my list for
Yeah, definitely.
party chat questions.
And I hate to poop on the
You
party, especially now that
time to
more people
bounce
are
out?
here. But I kind of need to bounce so I can make
No
sure the
worries.
my 10 o'clock newscast goes smoothly.
Played the demo more than the actual. I can't spell game. All right, got it on my list. I don't want to forget while it was on the top of my head. So,
Yeah,
well, awesome.
definitely.
Yeah, we're hour 45. So yeah, man,
Yeah,
time
it's not
flies
bad.
when you're having fun. So,
Absolutely.
well, thank you for joining me. I had a great
Thanks for
time
having me.
talking to you, as I have a great time talking to everyone. So if you ever want to come on again and talk more games, just let me know. As everyone knows, open mic is basically open to everyone. So if you want to come on and talk games with me, just let me know. We'll figure it out.
Sure thing. And
And we've had
then
a
yeah,
bunch more chat about Wario and everyone loving Wario. Oh yeah, this is
well,
the only
oh,
Wario's the only good game on the Virtual Boy. He single-handedly saved the system. That's I played a
confirmed.
Virtual Boy at a demo station in a Blockbuster once, and it was the Wario Land game or Wario. It was a Wario game, whatever one was on the Virtual Boy. So I played it for a few minutes.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, plug what you got going on.
All
What you got
right.
coming up
So
on your channel?
All right, so I am one half of Gamers Got a Game, which we're still currently on hiatus, so we won't be live this week, but we'll be live the week after with a new name.
Oh, okay.
So look forward to that. It'll still be the same content, same show. We're just kind of picking a name that kind of fully encompasses what we talk about.
Okay.
And
A
then,
little bit of a rebrand.
yeah, a little bit of a rebrand, a little bit more now that we know kind of what we're talking about. And we want to get into deeper topics and that might transcend gaming. And
Cool.
so there's that to look forward to.
Do you have a tentative return date for that?
Let's see. So not this Saturday, but the following. So it would be
That'd be the
the
9th.
9th. And then as
Okay.
far as stuff I do on my own, I had mentioned at some point I'm going to stream the uh, Link to the Past randomizer that I was talking about earlier. I've
Okay.
also got planned a Mega Man Damage Shuffler, and it basically what happens is I load so many Mega Man games. In this case, I'm doing just the first 6 for the NES. Anytime Mega Man takes a hit, anytime he loses health, it swaps to randomly a different game, and then I go through that game, and I do that until all the games are finished.
What? That's crazy. I've never heard of this
Yep.
concept before.
So yeah, I'll definitely be doing that. All of this happens in what I like to call the gaming activity hour, which happens 10 a.m. Central Monday through Friday, or as often as I can help it.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I see you like your gaming hour. It's like usually when I'm at
Yes.
work when I can't do it. A lot of times I'll hop into people's streams at work when it's later in the afternoon and things are kind of slow and But yeah, usually in the morning it's kind of a little bit busier. So
Yeah,
usually in the morning
unfortunately,
I'm
that's
not
the only
able to
time I have to
stream it.
do it most days. But yeah,
Understandable.
if I ever get in a position where I can stream at night more, I definitely would.
Oh, and Kay answered the question. X-Men Mutant Academy and Tomba for me on demos played more than the actual game.
Nice.
So I
And
think
then
Tomba was that a game with like a little caveman boy with like colorful hair. I think.
yeah, you have like pink hair or something.
Yeah, I think it was a PlayStation game. Just off the top of my head.
Yeah,
So
so I got that, and then I also have a couple more shows in development.
cool.
Uh, and once those are ready to go, I'll launch those definitely. And I
Cool.
still
Just
eventually
as
I'll set up a race.
what was that?
I said eventually I'll get a race set up with some sort of retro game in mind.
Oh, cool. But yeah, just as Paul is saying, I can't wait to see what you guys have in store. I'm very looking forward to it.
Can't wait to show it to you.
All right. Well, thank you for joining me. I think I want to stick around for a few more minutes. So you are welcome to head off. I had a great time chatting with you and look forward to next time.
Thanks for having me, man. Let's catch you around.
All right. Good night.
Night.
Oh, hello. Okay. So I was right. Underrated platform. Yeah, it was a little caveman boy. So I know I'm already at almost 2 hours, but we started pretty early because I was able to get off work a little bit early. So if anyone of you guys want to hop in and chat with me right now, I will send you the link. Happy to keep going. If not, then we can kind of end the stream here in a few minutes. But I will give you anybody a chance. Hey, if you want to DM me on Discord, and I'll send you the link and what we can chat. But in the meantime, what I've got coming up. So I sent out a tweet a couple days ago. Got a couple streams planned today, so this was one of them. Tomorrow night at 5 p.m. Pacific, right before the Melee Game Awards. Dude and I will be having episode 2 of Achievement Chasers, where we're going to be talking about the achievements we've been working on over the month of November. And I have a little bit of ranting to do about one of the games that I've been playing this month. Well, I'll go more into that tomorrow, and then on Saturday will be the next episode of Party Chat at the usual 11:30 a.m. Pacific with the guest this week is Smooth the DJ. So looking forward to finally connecting with him. I mean, we've chatted in DMs and stuff, and we're chatting live stream chats all the time, but it'll be the first time we'll ever be on stream together. So I'm looking forward to that. Paul says he's working, and Kay is probably busy working on Melee Awards stuff right now. So no worries. But yeah, so I've got a couple of ideas for stuff to kind of sort of like New Year's resolutions for stuff that ideas that I've got for new things to do for my channel in the coming year. So one of I've been having this idea basically since I started my channel. It's kind of more of a commitment. It's not something I want to do by myself. I want to get a co-host, but that can be kind of hard to do and have someone who can commit to it consistently. But it'd be fun to do a weekly video game news show because, as you know, I don't ever really talk about video game news. I just talk about games themselves, and that's kind of why I started my channel. Because everyone talks about news, but they don't really talk about games themselves, which is why I wanted to start my channel. But I think it'd be fun to talk about news and stuff, and yeah, because it's not something I do, and that's definitely something that I could probably clip out and make videos and help grow my channel as well. I'll probably start clipping sections from Party Chat and releasing those as videos as well to try to help grow the channel as well. What was the other? Oh yeah, that was the other thing. Is I'm probably going to be. I'm planning on it. We'll see how it goes. Because I am kind of some personal life stuff. I'm currently employed right now, but that is coming to an end. I will be unemployed at the end of the year. I've got a couple irons in the fire and a couple applications out there, so I'm not worried about it. I'm likely going to be having something, But that could be a good or a bad thing. Because if I do have some unemployment tax, I never, ever, ever take vacation. The last time I took a vacation was 2014, so almost 10 years ago. Other than taking like a day off here or there and making it like a 3-day weekend, but that doesn't really count. So it would be nice to have a little bit of time off, but I need money because I don't really have a whole lot right now. But it would be nice to have a little bit of a break and be able to focus on some fun channel stuff. But either way, if I do have a new job by then, hopefully we'll be paying more and I'll be able to support some of you guys as well. So I am hoping that I can get, I'll be getting a better paying job, and because I would like to support some of you guys as well. But regardless of which way that goes, I do have a fallback plan right now because some of the teams I'm working with did offer me a contract position, but doesn't have benefits and stuff, which is not so much for me, but for family that kind of rely on it. I kind of need that, so that I do have that as a fallback plan, so I'm not terribly worried about it. But the benefits is kind of a big thing, so I'm looking for something a little more permanent right now. But where I was going with all of that is I'm planning on it, assuming if I do get a new job and it's more a standard 9 to 5 like I have now, and it doesn't have wacky hours, and I can kind of keep the same streaming sort of schedule, as long as I can stick to that, I'm planning on streaming more games. More specifically, kind of like Dude, I'm planning on streaming more of my achievement hunting. So what I'm thinking is that I will be streaming my achievement hunting, and I'll leave a chat open. So if anyone wants to hop in and chat with me live while I'm hunting for achievements, you're welcome to hop in and just chat with me. So that's something I'm thinking about doing. Actually, and I'm planning on giving it kind of a test run very soon. Probably, I was thinking about doing it tomorrow, but with the Melee Awards, I'm going to be in there as soon as Dude and I are off our stream. So I'll probably start on Saturday after Party Chat, because I'll go more into it on Achievement Chasers tomorrow. But one of my favorite community events in December starts tomorrow on True Achievements, and it's called the 12 Days of Christmas. So I was thinking it'd be fun to stream that, me working on the 12 Days of Christmas. So that'll kind of be the test run of it, and I'll be hunting achievements, and I'll have a chat open. So if you ever want to come in and chat, you don't have to be on camera. If you just want to be audio only, we can talk while I'm hunting for achievements. I thought that'd be fun. So that's kind of the number one thing. I've got some ideas for some other streams that I'd like to do, but that takes a lot more planning and scheduling and working on other people's schedules. So that's why I haven't done those yet. But I've got some ideas for some other fun. Right now, the main one I'm thinking of would be like a monthly, maybe even less than that, just because it can be very difficult, because I want to have like 6 or more people at a time. So that can be very difficult to schedule schedules. So, but yeah, so that's some of the stuff I've got going on in my head for the future of Nerdy Neo. And yes, I literally had not even thought of a name yet, but that would be perfect. Nerdy Neo News. So if anyone would like to join me for that and be my co-host, let me know, because I would like to do it. It could be pretty short, maybe like just like an hour a week. But some weeks it would have to be on the later end. But Paul, I know you're a late night guy, so it might work perfectly for you. But yeah, that's something I would like to do, because I think it would be fun. But let's see here. Don't let me stop you, Mohammed. Every second achievement hunting is vital for racking up points. No, I'm definitely not missing the Melee Game Awards. So the 12 Days of Christmas, if it's time sensitive in that it has to be completed. It doesn't have to be, but if you want to complete it, it has to be completed by the end of the year. So it's not like you have to do it. I have to do it starting tomorrow. So no problem holding off until Saturday, when I've got basically the whole afternoon free after Party Chat. So that is kind of what I've got in the works going on in my head. So yeah, if any of you guys, if that sounds interesting to any of you guys, for being co-hosts or viewers, I know we're all part of the same communities, and James streams so much it can be hard to find a time to stream when he's not also streaming. Such as the first world problems of streamers. So. But I think that will, since you guys are all busy, you can't hop in to keep the conversation going. I think I will sign off here. Um, maybe. Well, I am definitely going to end the stream, but maybe I might start doing an achievement stream tonight. We'll see. But either way, you guys are all awesome. I love that you guys being in the chat. And Kay, despite us our constant bickering and fighting, which Charlie and I talked about before you hopped in the chat, I always love having you guys in here. And you're all of my best internet friends. So that will do it. I already went over the schedule, so don't have anything else to plug. So that'll do it for tonight. Everyone, thanks for joining me for another open mic. And I will see you all later, everyone. And in the meantime, game on.